wanted to start with Craig, because for all of you out here who are like, I'm just one person, I can't make a difference. When he was 12, he knew he could make a difference and wanted to make a difference, and he did. So I want to know, what kind of support group did you have around you, and how were you able to build this absolutely amazing global movement, Free the Children and We Day?
With a lot of friends. So, well, thank you. Thanks for putting together this panel. I think it's pretty amazing to gather the individuals here. So, and thank you for coming. And Eric, thank you for the wonderful introduction. To answer your question, so I was 12 years old. I read a story about child slavery. Grew up here in Toronto. And the Toronto Star was on the front page. I was getting ready for school, riding the bus to school, angry, wanting to help, having no idea how to help. And then brought it to my classmates and said, will you join? And 11 friends put up their hands, so 11 plus me, there were 12 of us. At the time, we were all 12 years old. So we called ourselves the Group of 12-12-year-olds. It was our family name. We could have used a PR help back there, because the name worked for like 2 weeks until one of us had our 13th birthday, and we didn't see that one coming. Thank you. In spite of ourselves, but thank you. But to the question that you asked, candidly, honestly, this time we didn't know if we could make this. You know, the one thing we realized, the only way that we could possibly achieve a goal, and our goal at the first stage of this was to try to build one school overseas. And we realized the only way that we could do this is we gathered more friends, more schools, more individuals, and very quickly we realized that there's a power in the collective. And I think that, you know, for a lot of artists out there, I think, you know, so many artists here in collaboration, working together, whether you are a 12-year-old, whether you're a fledgling artist, whether you're a world-renowned successful artist, there is this beautiful idea that the arts community and any community, when people come together, extraordinary things are possible in that spirit of helping each other.
Now, I know with myself, just working towards a career as a music journalist and being self-employed, I was so single-minded. I didn't care about charities. I didn't volunteer. I just wanted to make it in the music business. And it wasn't until later when I would hear about stories like Nelly or David Usher going to Iraq, I think it was, or he went to Burma, and Rain Maiden, Chantal Kariazek going to Iraq. The Rascals went to Sierra Leone. I heard these amazing, life-changing stories, and for me, I wanted to make a difference too. So Nelly, I wanted to ask you, I know that it's fairly recent that you've been involved as heavily as you are with Free the Children and become an ambassador and travel to Kenya 5 times. And you know, this is your charity of choice now. But when you were starting, you know, and you had such international acclaim and success with your very first album, you must have had all these different charities like wanting you to show up at their events or align yourself with that cause. How did you, during those early years, choose which charities you were going to support?
That is an amazing, amazing question. That is tough when you start, because I'll never forget meeting, I think David Foster, like early on in my career or something, and remembering that he had like his one foundation. So he had his foundation, and everything he did kind of revolved around or filtered through his foundation, and I know done that as well, where they kind of just pick sort of a name for a foundation, and then they filter various grassroots, smaller initiatives through that. I know that Brian Adams does that through his foundation. Myself, so yeah, I started out, there was all sorts of great different, there's so many great things going on, there's so many great charities, there's so many great initiatives, but of course as an artist you kind of go, okay, what is this amounting to? Because sometimes if you just do one event, of course you're helping, but at the same time, I guess, above all, it's your intention that matters. So if you've got a voice and you have intention, Craig talks about this a lot, is finding your passion. So if you're really passionate or that, he mentions anger, and I read a bit about Aaron's bio and story too, and there's always the anger piece that happens. So it's kind of like, what makes you feel angry right now? What gives you that like fire in your belly where you're like,
you know? And if you can't channel into something positive, or you can't align your career, whatever career you're in, not just musicians or singer-songwriter or whatever, like myself, if you can't align your career or success with something bigger than that, it's really unfulfilling. I remember sitting, basically, I think it's kind of like, you know, a little bit candid, but sitting at the Canada's Walk of Fame event in the crowd, and I saw the reel of like, oh wow, Nelly Furtado sold records, did this, won a Grammy. I'm watching it all go by, and I'm sitting in an audience, and I'm just like, what does this all mean? You know, like I feel like I haven't like aligned it with a higher purpose, and so it felt incomplete. And so 6 years ago, when I first started working with Craig and went through the children, I went to Kenya on a trip, and just it kind of clicked for me. That voice said go. That voice said yes. That voice said yes. And the passion came, and it just kind of took over. So I guess my advice would be in the early years. You know, it's funny. I remember I had a conversation with Alicia Keys once at a fundraiser, because Alicia Keys we kind of came up at the same time, our debut albums. And I always admired her because she really, early in her career, she really attached herself with the AIDS, HIV movement, and she developed her charity for that, like really early days, like in the beginning of her career. And I remember seeing her at a fundraiser for something else many years later, and I was sitting with her, we had a table together, and I said, how did you know? I said, Alicia, how did you know this was your thing? How did you know this was your thing? And you seem so passionate, it seems so true to you. And she said, you just know. You just know. And I'm like, well, when's my moment? When will I know? And then when I went over there and met these guys and saw the great work they were doing, that's when I knew. And then I remember her saying that a long time ago and going, yeah, okay, I know now. I had to wait a while, but now I know. Yeah.
Now, Aaron, before Billy Talent, I'm sure you all know, was in a band with the same group of guys called Pez. So he was really working many, many years before they, became successful. And probably like me, you were single-minded, getting that record deal and then, getting those hit records and selling records. All the while, you have MS. No one knows except your friends and your immediate family that you hadn't actually told the public and used it, to engage your fans. And, for the artists out there, it doesn't matter how big you are, how small you are, your fans are dedicated. They hang on to your every word. They look up to you, and you can engage them. You can use them, for the greater good if there is a cause that you're involved with. So can you talk about that, how that started with F.U.M.S?
Yes.
Sorry, F.U.M.S.
Yeah, for me, with our band, even when we were in Pez, we would always be involved with I think ARA was the first one that we got involved with. We were always just looking to try and be involved with something. And then when I got told that I had MS, I was still in this band called Pez, and we weren't doing very well, so the band just kept going and going and going. We got this record deal, and we wrote this, Billy Talent won our first record, and the first song on that record was about one of our friends who was dealing with MS, and I would always be, and at that point for me, I just wanted to just concentrate on being in a band, and I didn't really want to be involved in the whole MS world because I just felt so far away from anyone else that had MS. So I just hunkered down, and we started touring the world, and we started getting involved with new charities like Kids Help Phone. And after the first album was finished and we started doing the second album, I just thought I need to start talking to people about MS again. And when I started looking into MS, this was only 6 years after. Now it was kids as young as 3 years old were getting diagnosed with MS, and I was just blown away at the fact that for me as a young adult, being told that I had to go through this big change in my life and deal with a disease that doesn't have a cure, it was really tough. So I couldn't even imagine being 15, 12, being told that you had to deal with MS. So I just thought, I'm going to put on a punk rock show, and I'm going to see if my friends' bands want to get involved, and we're going to call it F.U.M.S. The acronym is exactly what you think it is. But people just kind of grabbed onto that, and when they found out that I wanted to donate money and start these youth programs, everyone just really got involved, and that just kind of spawned into art shows and golf tournaments and punk rock concerts. And it's really not that hard. It's just a bunch of friends putting on shows, and people just loved what we were doing. And now we've just taken it to, we started a camp for kids with MS. We have this Someone Like Me blog spot where they can go and talk to each other, and it's just grown into something beautiful, and that's just me clinging onto it, and when you believe in it, it will go so much further. So that's where.
And Natasha is just top of her field. She not only runs her own PR agency and is the chair for Artists for Peace and Justice, but I believe, is that bracelet you're wearing the one for charity that you designed? So 100% of this beautiful jewelry that you released a couple of years ago goes to Artists for Peace and Justice, and she has her own perfume. I'm not sitting, close enough to be able, but I'm sure she's wearing it, and that was with the Bay, a partnership. So, not everyone in the audience is a musician. There's, people that work in the business, maybe starting out with their own companies or working for someone else. Can you talk a bit about, having that kind of social responsibility as a business owner, or being part of the business, and how you can align yourself with the appropriate charities as well?
Sure. I mean, for me, when I started NKPR 14 years ago, it was always really important for me to pick and choose the brands that we partnered with. And the way we chose those brands were, we wanted to make sure that they had they were either socially responsible or they were open to being socially responsible, so we would work with them to develop an authentic corporate social responsibility strategy. And I'm pleased to say that you're seeing that more and more. But when I was doing it at the time, and we were working with brands like Kiehl's that we continue to partner with, and they did a partnership with Alicia Keys at the time, I remember, and many artists, and CIBC, we developed their philanthropic strategy at the time, so it would actually marry with their marketing strategy. But at that time, I didn't personally feel connected to any cause. I gave back to organizations, but I didn't feel that moment. And it wasn't until Paul Haggis went to Haiti, and I went to Haiti before the earthquake even hit, and I felt that moment of, this is a country that is an hour away from Miami, where people are having fun. This is a country where people are devastated. They live on $1 a day, and this is before the earthquake even happened. So we decided that we would help build the very first free high school in Port-au-Prince. 6 months later, the earthquake hit in Haiti, and an already devastated country was even more devastated. And we came together with many artists, both in the U.S. and Canada, and decided it's up to us to be able to do something bigger and do something more. And so this year, in June, we're celebrating our very first graduating class in Haiti. And it is about finding that soul, right? And, we try and work with companies that want to give back and really find that authentic partnership. So it's not about giving back for the sake of giving back. It's about finding some meaning in giving back and making sure that it connects in an authentic way. And it's the same for everybody. It's like, I was saying to you, and like, if each person found one cause that meant something to them, the world would be a way better place. And I feel like we all have that in us. We just think that, I can't make a difference. One person can't make a difference. But I really feel that we all have the ability and the capability to really make an impact in this world. And it's up to us to be able to sort of search deep to find what that is.
I think what you're doing with We Day, I was fortunate to attend one, and it's really emotional. You're in an arena filled with kids, just filled, and every single one of those kids has been chosen because they've been charitable that year through their school. So, you know, you do get a little teary-eyed. It's just crazy, and it's like, I don't know, some kind of crazy cult, because they are cheering as much for, you know, a humanitarian as they are for an artist, a performer, you know, and that's incredible to see. So can you talk about what level of artist you bring into your organization as an ambassador, and, you know, and if you're not of the level of international success that, say, Nelly is, how can you get involved if you're just starting, if you don't even have a record deal?
Yeah, no, it's all types of amazing artists, and I think you touched on a really great point, because I know there are people here who are like Nelly, and then there are others who are just starting their career, and whether it be with us or any nonprofit, they need every type of artist's involvement. So to answer your question, I should probably explain what we actually do. So we have 3 verticals to our work. So at home, we try to engage kids to find a charitable cause, whatever cause it is. One local, one global. So our bet is when you inspire kids, they'll do great things. So those kids then raise $60 million for different charities. They do 20 million hours of service for different charities. So 2.3 million kids. So we're the largest charity in the world on Facebook, and we get TV broadcasts with CTV or ABC broadcasts or We Days, and we have these 2.3 million kids who try to earn their way to We Day, one local action, one global action, and 200,000 who fill 14 stadiums around the world. And they get to go to these incredible celebrations of service. So that's what we do at home. What we do globally is, well, Nelly's a perfect example for it. So Nelly got excited and said she wanted to get involved globally. And globally, we do 5 pillars of development. So we have education, clean water, food security, alternative income projects, and healthcare. And we'll work in villages for about 5 years until the children and the families reach a level of self-sufficiency. And over 5 years, we phase out, and the community sustains the ongoing operations. So Nelly, for example, supported amazingly scholarships for girls, and then was so inspired that she actually built an all-girls boarding secondary school in Kenya. And you know the importance of education, how it changes lives. And Nelly is with us in December for the first ever graduating class from that all-girls boarding school in Kenya to celebrate with these incredible young women. And the third and final thing that we do is what we call a social enterprise. So we team up with artists, and Nelly, for example, designed a t-shirt with us and other items that we then resell, and that's how some artists can give their time, and some artists can give their brand or their identity or their artistic design, and we create these items that are handmade by women in Africa, that are sweatshop-free, social responsible t-shirts, and that's now in 12,000 doors. And so that raises millions of dollars to support charitable causes. So what we tried to basically build is a platform, because we know that so many artists are really busy. They have to run their artistic careers. And so, you know, if the artist continues to do what they do, then you could add on top of that simple, easy plug-and-play ways. So, like, people like Nelly, global superstar, gets involved in building literally her, you know, she built an entire school. Not everyone could do that. So it's amazing, and then does multiple trips and gets her family involved. Or another example, because you said different examples, like the guys from Headley went and they volunteer with us in Ecuador, and they volunteer with us in India, and they, at the concerts, they've got their booths in the back, and they do this cool thing where if you make commitments during the concert, they'll do some backstage meet and greets with them. Or Cardi, who's here, got involved, and his whole thing was local, and he wanted to give chances for kids, and so, you know, he decided to do a fundraiser where he puts on his own fundraiser music show and raises the funds to sponsor 10 at-risk inner-city kids from Canada to do service work locally, and then they earn their way globally. Or Tyler Shaw, who I just literally ran into and gave a hug to walking down the way, is doing a whole bunch of big and small venue shows, from like 500 people to 1,000 people to we were with them 3 weeks ago? Who organized that? What?
3 weeks ago, yeah. Tyler played that show. And also, Neverest went to Africa, and they entertained all the youth groups for an entire 6 weeks, I think. So a lot of the smaller events, like mini We Days at the schools, there's always entertainment. So singers, songwriters, it's a good way to get involved, and artists as well. Like, again, like you can be, you know, just starting out, but there's always like a venue, because it's you'll meet other artists there too. So it's all positive. It's all positive. And it's good exposure and also a good chance to practice.
So there's so many ways to get involved, is the long and short.
I'm going to throw out some questions and kind of a free-for-all, so I don't want to put, you on the spot. So if you have an answer, please. So, again, a lot of the people in the audience are just starting their careers, and maybe it's cancer, maybe it's Alzheimer's, maybe it's animal rights is a big one. It's a lot of work to start your own charity. It's a lot of accountability. So is it okay to just, do things, collect money, not be registered? I know some people are kind of wary of that. I actually did a trip to El Salvador with a girl who was a surfer and discovered some orphanages within walking distance, and I went with her and we brought backpacks and we played with the kids and did that kind of thing, but other people would not want to do that because they don't trust it. So how do you each feel about that and kind of just getting in there without all the paperwork and just trying to do some good? Of course.
Partially, and then anyone else can. I think that's amazing. I feel like there aren't any really rules. You know what I mean? I feel like if you have a good intention and have positivity around it, I think it's amazing. Like I know myself, I'm friends with a lot of people who have their own grassroots charities where it's just them, like their daughter and like somebody local in another country, and they're just working together and making it happen. So I think. The opportunities are endless. It could be in your neighborhood, somebody, it might just be a community thing where you're community-minded and you just want to help out the people around you, or in your neighborhood or local community. But I think that's amazing. I mean, it's about connecting.
I also feel that's where it starts,
Yeah.
right? It's like if you can, it's about being kind. So if you can show some kindness on a daily basis, that grows, like that intent grows. It gets bigger, it gets stronger, and it gets bigger within you, and then you start to give back in a bigger way. And I feel like that's absolutely what people should be doing. Just do something kind every single day.
Yeah, and then with me, it was the MS Society of Canada really helped me with all those questions I had about registering and whenever anyone donates money, where it goes when we donate it to the MS Society. So if you can find a local chapter of whatever cause that you want to get involved in, they're always going to be able to either push you in the right direction or help you find the right tools to do what you want to do. And I'm still learning every day with this stuff. Like it's really complicated and it's a lot to do. So just finding people to help you out and aligning with other causes that you are into.
One thing that, sorry.
I was just going to add a really quick stat. So every year in America, there's 50,000 new charities started, and every year in Canada, it's 6,500 new charities started. So there is, and I would love what you just said, call up the MS Society if that's your passion, because there's probably someone there, and kind of we always have the immediate gut to start something new, but sometimes the new thing can be partnerships or operated with someone else, or there's some wonderful collaboration opportunities.
Right. And if you are one of those people that doesn't want to get involved, if it's not a registered charity, you can actually go to the CRA website and look up all the financials behind a charity and find out, where their money's going. I personally am not as concerned with that. If I see someone, delivering those goods to a homeless shelter, I'm good with that, and there's a lot of people that do some really good grassroots things on the ground. One thing Billy Talent does, which I think is amazing, is when they put someone like me on the guest list for one of their shows, you get up to the, ticket booth and they ask you for a donation.
Yeah,
I think that's great.
The mandatory guest list donation. So, because we you tour and you get a guest list of 50 to 100 to sometimes 200 people in every city, and they're all like, why not ask each one of those people for $5 each? And they're not going to say no. And then you just tell them where the money's going to be going to, and everyone's happy, and all of a sudden you have $2,000 every night that can go to Kids Health Phone or something. It's really not that hard.
I mean, Bruce Springsteen, for many, many years, every single show, he hooks up with a local food bank, and and they usually have a booth set up, and they ask for donations, and that's pretty amazing. Before I open it up to questions, what do you, I guess Nelly and Aaron, what do you think of charity songs? Because I've actually encountered where I've written about an artist that has released a charity song, and then I follow up to try and find out how much money went to the charity. No one seems to know. It's very difficult to find out, and I guess also the royalty checks come in a lot later as well, and it just seems to kind of generate excitement initially, and then it's difficult to follow up on.
Yeah, that's something I don't know anything about, the charity song and whatever royalties come in. It's just, that's uncharted territory for us, so I wouldn't even know, but
Right.
I'm sure there's somewhere where you can go to find out how to do that properly.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Sometimes it could be a lot of buzz and exposure, I guess, for and awareness. I mean, so if we looked at charity songs as sort of like awareness pieces, I think that's okay too. But yeah, there is money there, and yeah, like you said, the royalty stream might take a while. Like, I guess like Waving Flag, that one. I guess I'm not
That
sure.
was very successful,
I'm not
though.
sure how much money it raised.
Yeah.
I know it's successful. Today, my good friend Angeli released a song called Dragonfly, actually yesterday, and it's all the money goes towards women's shelters. So that's supported by I think the Canadian Women's Foundation. I hope I didn't misquote that, but I was watching the video and looking at that, and yeah, it's about the purchase, right? So as long as people buy the song, then it will raise money.
And I guess sometimes the record company actually commits initially a dollar figure, so they don't have to worry about all that. But you can also write a song about a cause. Give peace a chance. So that's another way to kind of take a stand on something and, get word out about something.
Yeah, I just saw the one. You're absolutely right. Sometimes if you have a cause and you have the passion, if you just put the song out, sometimes that's enough to raise the awareness. Blue Rodeo put out a great one before the last federal election. I don't know if any of you saw it. I did. And then there's a new one, too, by another rap group out of California. It's got a swear in it, but it's swear. You know who?
Right, I know who you're talking about.
It's effective because people get their passion out and their emotions, and maybe people can, get inspired by that.
So does anyone have any questions? And I also, at the very end, if there's anyone here from a charity and you want to walk up to the mic and tell us a little bit about your charity, maybe there's someone else in this room that's interested in that cause, and you can go away and chat. Ebony.
Hi. Is this working? Okay. I'm with a nonprofit organization. We do developmental work with young women across Canada from all different cultures who want to be recording artists. So we do free workshops, and then it all ends with a concert called Honey Jam. We've been doing that for 21 years now. I want to say thank you so much to Nelly, because before she did the work in Africa, she performed at Honey Jam in 1997, and she became a financial sponsor of the show and supported us for many years. So thank you so much for that. Congratulations on your humanitarian award. Much well deserved. My question is, as a nonprofit and trying to get artists with profile to be associated, to possibly assist, to do something with us, there are so many layers that surround an artist. How does a nonprofit or a charity get to the artist? My experience has been in dealing with the managers, because it's not something that they can get a cut out of, they tend to not even bring it to the artist at all. And so you don't really wind up getting anywhere. It's like, well, is this going to be filmed where a million people are going to see it, or is there going to be some sort of fee? And if it isn't that, which is mostly the case for charities, how do you then get a celebrity involved? How do you get through the layers? So it'd be great if there was an actual manager on here who could maybe explain how that works, and also for the artists who are here to speak on that. Thank you.
Natasha could probably talk about that, because when she puts on her event during TIFF for Artists for Peace and Justice, you have just the biggest names involved, right?
We do. I mean, I hear what you're saying. I do think that it's the managers. I mean, we have a talent division. I do feel that it's our obligation to bring it to the artist. And it's up to the artist to feel that connection. Sometimes it's a timing issue because everyone's so busy, and sometimes you have to feel it. And you want that. You want an artist that actually connects with the cause, because if they connect, they will do anything and everything they possibly can for you. And I mean, we feel it with Artists for Peace and Justice, where we have some of our artists that support APJ that give their money and they don't have a lot of time, but we have other artists like Arcade Fire that give so much to Artists for Peace and Justice whenever and however that they can. So I think it just depends, and you would hope that the management would bring it forward. It's just sometimes doesn't always work out.
I have the exact same problem when I'm trying to get interviews for SamaritanMag.com, you know. I know that an artist has a foundation. I know they would love to talk about it instead of what they're wearing to the industry awards tonight. But, you know, there's that barrier, whether it's the publicist at the record company or the manager. I don't think there's an easy answer, you know.
I mean, sometimes the way to do it is through social media. We all see our social media channels, and, you know, I think reaching out to the artist directly through social sometimes actually works. So that could be another way to do it.
You know, it's funny, a personal connection too. I know it's hard to get in people's faces or be in 20 places at the same time, especially if they don't live here locally where you live. But like, sorry to call you out, Cam, but Cameron's here. He's been recruiting We Day talent for the last, 8 years? So him and David Cameron. David Johnson, sorry, David. Anyways, so Cam, they've had the most success when they get in an artist's face and they get to meet them, and it's like, oh my God, we made the connection, and then like they'll see them again, and it may take time, but like after a while, sometimes it gives. I found that.
Nelly, with you voiced a character for me for this anti-racism animated PSA that I did, and I wanted her to voice the lead character, this pinhead girl. And I went through all the proper channels for the longest time, and, you know, couldn't get to her, and then I forget how it happened. But
there was a long lead time.
And then you just said, yeah, you know, it's like, I'll try again. It's like, yes.
What happened was when you were first doing it, I think it was a scheduling thing, because you had to go to the studio to do that. You had to go do, you know, it's like 3 or 4 hours to go to the studio and record the audio for that, which is amazing if you haven't seen it. It's really great. And again, passion, right? So I was passionate about that, the racism piece. But so yeah, I guess passion plus the schedule working. That's what happened there.
Right. Anyone else want to weigh in on that? Any other questions? Can we talk about if you have any ideas on how young artists can engage their fans, like through social media? Are you very active, Nelly? And like when you were trying to raise money for Ololeshwa for the school, were you kind of out there and promoting it all the time through your socials?
Yeah, I wrote an entire album about it. My last album was totally about, like a lot of it was about my experiences on my trips and working with Free the Children and just everything I learned, all the people I met, the girls, the students, like just inspiring people all around. So yeah, so that was like a direct way to kind of like merge the two things. So there was the music and then the charity aspect together. So I think I definitely had the Free the Children logo on all my packaging, and I brought them on the road with me. We did a whole Meet-A-Wee pop-up shop on tour, and they sold all the Rafiki chains of handmade artisanal products that are all made in Kenya and handmade with love. People could sign up for Meet-A-Wee trips.
Your tank top, you sold the tank top.
Yeah, so we use social media for sure. And the fans engaged with different sort of initiatives that way, yeah.
Hello, everybody. I'm Sheila. I'm with Unison Benevolent Fund. We are a charity, a nonprofit charity for the music community. We do emergency relief services for anybody in times of crisis that are in the music community, in the Canadian music community. Whether you're a musician or a songwriter or a publicist, it doesn't matter. We do emergency relief. So I just wanted to say hello and talk a bit about us. Not maybe everybody knows about us. We have a table upstairs by registration for pamphlets find out about Unison. We have guitar string bracelets for sale. We're trying to raise some money for that. So it's a really good thing. We would like to be the music community's safety net. When people in the community are in trouble, something happens to them, that's where Unison comes in. It's like Music Cares in the States. We are Unison in Canada. So come on up and see us at the table and learn a bit more about Unison and how you can give back to your own community. Unison is for the music community, by the music community. So that's kind of how we'd like to get together.
And I should mention, there have been dozens and dozens of fundraisers with major Canadian artists, small up-and-coming Canadian artists, raising money for Unison, because they actually couldn't launch until they made $1 million, I believe.
I have a question. Sorry, I'm really nervous, so I wrote it down. Okay, well, the general public, lots of them, as nice as they are, they seem to have this fear of donating to any cause that isn't nice. You know, that's why people prefer donating to animal shelters and like the homeless shelters or Kids Help Phone versus some cancers or some things that are not seen as pretty as other causes. And I was wondering, how as thought leaders do you think you guys and we all could change that perspective into helping everyone, not just the charities and the causes that look pretty on the outside?
I mean, you can't help everyone, right? And actually, some of my most popular stories on Samaritan Mag are my animal stories. Like, people go mad for animal rescues, and there's rescues for parrots, for pigs, for greyhounds, like for donkeys. I never knew how many there were. So how do you kind of...
I mean, I would say mental health is one of those causes. Remember, we worked with the organization 8 years ago. We couldn't get a writer to write about it. There was a whole stigma around it, and nobody wanted to talk about it. I couldn't believe it. I could get them to write about, fashion in 30 seconds. I couldn't get them to talk about anything as important as mental health. And that was 8 years ago. And so you just need to keep doing it, because I find now we are talking about it, we're having that conversation. It's better.
Sorry, my facial expression.
No, I get it.
Someone who has dealt with the mental health system, those are my facial expressions.
I agree. I think we have so much further to go, but I can tell you as a publicist, 8 years ago, even 6 years ago, nobody was talking about it, and they wouldn't talk about it. And now with the support of CTV and just so many more organizations, it is at the forefront, and more so at the forefront. So I think it's just we need to keep doing it and chipping away at it slowly but surely, and not back down. Continue. It might not be sexy, and it might not, but it's a real issue, and I think that we can't go with the flow. We have to go against the grain.
And mental health, I mean, it can be anorexia, it can be drug addiction, it can be so many different things under that umbrella. So, each of you probably has someone who is going through that, if not yourself. And we should credit Bell Media and George Cope for pledging $50 million and then another $50 million towards that, as well as just some brilliant ad campaigns about the stigma. And I think, you're right when you say that there are, pretty causes and ugly causes. That is one that there was the stigma around it, which is sort of opening up now.
The only thing I would do to shout out on that, it takes people to have the courage. So as artists look for their causes here, like on the We Day stage, we're cause inclusive, so we welcome every cause. And I look at like Tom Jackson, who spoke so beautifully about breaking down barriers with Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal Canada. I look at Joseph Boyden, the author, who got up there and spoke about depression and his own battles. I look at Amanda Lindhout, the journalist, who got up there with an extraordinary Canadian young woman who was brutally attacked, and she almost became one of the missing and murdered Aboriginal women. And Amanda Lindhout lent her voice so that she could share her voice. Wani Miller, the Canadian activist who spoke about breaking down barriers. There's so many people who have started to raise their voice on these topics, and it's the journalists that's amplifying it, and it's the PR agents sharing it, and it's the artists having the courage to share their own stories and raise their voice.
Thank you very much.
Hi, Aaron, I just want to say you're a huge inspiration, man, and you kick ass. But my question is there, as a starting band, you don't have much of a voice, right, in the whatever you're trying to promote, but as you gain the voice, how do you balance between promotion in your band and with your charity or fund or whatever? Because
You just get help from your friends. I think a lot of people up here would just say you just ask for help. Because being on the road and touring and all those things that come along with being in a touring rock band, there's not much time. And it's just about getting just a team of friends together, and you'll be very surprised at how many people will break down a door and try their hardest to help you out if they believe in the cause that you believe in as well. So it really isn't that hard to find help. You just have to ask.
Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, my name is Brett. I am a music business management student, and I also run my own startup company promoting shows, and that's been around for a year. I'm also involved with a charitable organization, Optimist International. It's pretty much a service club organization. It's all inclusive in terms of the different charities and the outreach is done, helping different causes such as childhood cancer, helping overseas, and many more charities and organizations. We also run our own charity in Canada, Canadian Children's Optimist Foundation, try to help donate money to people and to kids that can't get the leadership work and are young and inspiring leaders to help them develop. So my question is, so I run my own company and I do shows and I'm a musician myself. So just wondering, how can we integrate both charity work into a startup company when you don't necessarily have the funds?
I think I wanted to mention this before with the other two questions, that you have to kind of, like, it sounds like you're doing already, you kind of find your tribe, you know?
Yeah.
Just gotta find your tribe. You just have to kind of be like, I remember when I first started getting involved with Feed the Children, and I'd talk to people at, being at a friend's barbecue or something, and I was like, blah, 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 and what happens is when you're passionate, that's the only ingredient you need, because whoever's around you will just pick up on your passion. I mean, campaigns are won this way. Without, I know there's a financial piece, but you take that away, it's one person telling 4 people that are just as passionate as you are, who will then each tell 4 people, who will then each tell 4. So that's how that grassroots movements begin. So as long as the passion's there, it doesn't really matter. Like, I think you just have to kind of build that swirl of momentum, and even if you're just doing like a barbecue or something, you know what I mean, where everybody's contributing, or do you know what I mean? That's that's the intention is all that really matters, and you can't worry about that other piece, because then if you focus too much on that, then it almost kind of puts the opposite energy out of like, oh, I'm so focused on getting the money, and then the money won't come, right? So if you just focus on the intention, then that'll happen naturally and start to percolate with good intention, positivity always. Don't focus on the negative.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds awesome. Thank you. And then to Aaron, I saw Billy Talent a couple years ago. You're an inspiration of mine as well as a musician. Thank you.
So we're at the end. I wanted each of you to kind of talk about very briefly, like, the next plan. You know, Craig, you always have like no longer a penny drive, but there's always something that Free the Children is doing. And also I want to know, outside of Free the Children, give me one charity support that you have no connection to, if that's possible. And, you know, same with Nelly and Natasha and Aaron, if you could give your like URLs and your, you know, what you're doing next.
So the kids are innovated by supporting 1,000 different charities, so we cover a whole lot of charities. But one brand new one I've just been really inspired by, we've been learning a lot about, is Park here in Toronto. They do a lot of work interesting around young people, a lot of work around mental health, a lot of help unstably housed transition into stable housing. So if I could do a bit of a shout out to that group, I think it'd be really cool. And then what we've got next, gosh, you know, this summer we're leading a whole bunch of amazing artists on volunteer trips around the world, and then fall We Days come around again. So if anyone is interested to get more involved, it's talent talent@weday.com, talent@weday.com, and that's how we welcome amazing artists or management or PR, and then our team sits down and dreams up ideas from t-shirts to volunteer trips, from concerts to getting your fan base involved, to performing at We Days, to helping with local activations. And so our job is to make it easy to connect with great causes and to make a difference helping locally and globally inspire kids. So thanks for organizing this. This is really cool.
Yeah, you guys are my dream panel, my inaugural Samaritan Mag panel. Hopefully there'll be many more and a whole day. Nelly, I hope we have an album from you soon, and I know you're going back to Kenya for the graduating
Graduation, that's going to be awesome. And yeah, again, like there's so many people out there doing great things, so keep doing great work. And see people here in the audience who are doing awesome work out there themselves already. Geez, I don't know where to begin. I don't know if I'd single out one thing, but I guess I'll plug Angeli again with her single. Came out, Dragonfly. If you support that, you support women's shelters, an initiative to end violence against women and domestic abuse. So that's really important. I think more now. It's been on the radar lately. So Dragonfly by Angeli. Pick that up. Support women.
And there's a great interview that I did with Nelly. It was great because of her, not necessarily because of me, but it's a great Q&A on SamaritanMag.com, so search for it. And she talks, there's an amazing story I urge you all to read about Susan, the young woman that she met on her very first trip with Free the Children. Won't give it away, but very emotional.
We launched something this year called 26 Acts of Kindness, and what that is as a team in my office, both in New York and Toronto, we're going to do 26 different acts, and one of them is a scholarship program for young PR students, another is to give back to Artists for Peace and Justice, Camp Uchigeus, Partners for Mental Health. We've chosen over a dozen charities that we're going to give back, both from a time perspective, many inspire young students to actually give back as well. And to speak to the last gentleman that was asking the question, you can do that. You can give back just by giving your time, and that will inspire and encourage others to do the same. And I think that's probably the most important thing.
And Billy Talent's going to be teaming up with the Plus One charity, which was started by Marika of Arcade Fire. And it's just basically $1 from every single ticket that we sell on our European tour coming up is going to go to the F.U.M.S chapter that was started in Germany. So I'm just teaming up with her to try and get all my eggs in one basket so I can get F.U.M.S on board of the Plus One charity. And I'll give a shout out to Rob Dyer at Skate for Cancer, because he's amazing.
And your URLs, it's someonelikeme.ca?
Yeah, Turning Anger into Hope is the F.U.M.S website, and then someonelikeme.ca is the blog spot where youth from across, actually all over the world, just talk about their experiences with MS.
Thank you so much, each of you. I know you're very busy. Go Raptors for sure. And congratulations, Nelly, on your award tonight. It's very exciting, well-deserved. I think it's amazing.